you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run? When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. What you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide? When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come.
It's good to see you.
You know, it's a great occasion as usual. What's going on tonight, brother?
Oh, man, I'm living and I'm breathing.
Man, aren't we blessed?
Absolutely grateful to God every single day.
Every breath we take, man, it's a blessing from God.
So, well, a few things are on my mind. I want to get stroked up. So, welcome, D-Luv.
Thank you, brother. Welcome, Stro. As usual, before we get started, welcome to Strok'D, the art of mental stimulation, where we talk about subjects at depths that most people aren't willing to go. We keep it real raw, straight to the point. Whatever comes up, comes out. I mean, it's unfiltered. So whatever you hear is what you get. Some thoughts we've already thought before. Some thoughts may come to us while we're doing this. Might be fact and it might be our opinion. But as usual, it is what it is.
So what is life without death?
Ooh, said the D word, man. That's the deep one. Everybody's afraid of that one, you know. You shake a little bit when you hear that. I mean, it's just so final.
Well, it seems like it's the end of all things, right?
Right.
So I guess the question becomes at that particular point, when we look at ourselves and we see death somewhere in the future.
Yeah, it's coming.
So what are you doing with your life?
I mean, everybody should be living every day as if it's their last. But most of us, I don't know. We're under is the guy's the word? I don't know. It might be the wrong word.
No, that's a good one.
You like that?
Oh, yeah,
it came from somewhere. I don't know. I'll check the dictionary later.
Well, to be under a guise is a mask.
Yeah,
so,
well, I like it then. Okay.
We're
now the word I wanted came up, impression, that we have a lot longer than we had. But guys, it's good, man. I'm going to look that up. Remind me. We're under the impression that life's a little longer than what we think. I mean, we talk about death all the time. We see death all the time. But yet every day we're not living it like it's our last, man. We kind of take it for granted at times.
Absolutely. One of the biggest questions that has, touched my brain ever since I was a young teenager is the idea of this question. Why are we afraid of death when it helps us value life?
You're saying the thought of it because, most people are afraid of death because it's the unknown. We don't like to admit it, but we like to be in control, even though we're supposed to relinquish control to God because we truly have no control. But yet we still like to try to have a little bit of control, and that's the thing that people fear the most.
Yeah, the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, man. I can't. I'm gonna keep
xenophobia is a real thing. Okay.
Okay, that's what that is. The fear of the unknown.
Yeah. So our thing with that is when we can't grasp something in our mind, we go immediately to selfish preventive measures.
Okay.
So we
self-preservation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We got to be careful. Mm-hmm. Because self-preservation is a thing.
Right.
And again, you'll make me immediately go back to the prim, because in a primitive nature, you will preserve yourself.
Okay.
And when we don't understand stuff immediately on a higher conscious level, we automatically go to the physical. That's what we relate to.
Okay. But it's truly nothing we can do about it, man. We're all going to die. Like, it's nothing we can do about it. I think that what scares people the most. But on the flip side, you ever hear about people talking about near-death experiences?
Absolutely.
So, I was watching a couple of videos on it on YouTube, and everybody almost had the same thing in common. People who die, like they brought them back to life, and they all give the kind of the same story. That a lot of them were happy. They was like, I felt more free than I've ever been in my life. And the point they were making was because I wasn't worried about making sure my kid had clothes. I wasn't worried about the mortgage. It's like I was free of all of that, all the things we carry around this world.
You're talking about that after that experience, right?
And they said they felt so free. And someone even asked one lady, and she was like, what would you choose? And she said, I would actually choose that. And she said, I can't wait to have that feeling again. And I was like, wow.
Right.
Wow.
Because that's how freeing death can be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Especially when you're on the brink of it, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're dealing with death right in this eye,
okay,
and then all of a sudden it didn't take you completely away. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden you value life differently, and your experiences of freedom, is different.
Right.
Now you can be in the present moment.
Yeah, that's true too. It's all about how you get past it, because I had a near-death experience, and I still remember. I'm not going to recall the entire story. Maybe one day, I'll cover it. But, it was a car accident, flipped out the side of the road, and I remember yelling out for God, saying, God, I don't want to die. But I remember after that incident, and death, I mean, it was real to me. Before that, I was just living my life freely. I mean, you hear about death, you see people die, you go to funerals, but that day, it became real to me that could truly happen.
Man, in a blink of an eye.
Right.
And, you know, and I can relate to your story because I was in a car accident that severe as well. Where
I came out without a scratch. Everybody in the car, no scratch. It was just the experience.
Right. It could end right now.
Right now at this moment.
Right now.
While we're on this mic.
Right. So, you know, this is one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we brought up and talked about. Each moment is more valuable. Mm-hmm. Now, the crazy thing is, in this ideology type world, once you've experienced a life-threatening situation, okay, that's why you brought that up. Now you appreciate life even more.
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's so real to you because you experienced that near-death experience. And so now it's more precious and more valuable.
Right.
Now, I don't want anybody to experience that because that's unnecessary because we can all communicate and talk to each other and make sure that we elevate each other.
Right.
So you don't have to experience a near-death experience to appreciate life. You just need to understand the concept about death.
Yeah, and it's kind of natural for people to fear death, though. I was reading that also. It's a word called thanatophobia, and that's where they call it death anxiety, too. That's when people have a major fear of death and the process of death that it affects their everyday life. Like every day, all day thinking about it. It have people who don't come out of the house. Mm-hmm. Like they are that affected by it.
What is that one? Agoraphobic? When you won't come out the house?
I don't really know the word for that. I just know the term for the death related or whatever. But that might be it.
But at the end of the day, when we start creating those type of fears, we become disabled.
Yes.
Mentally, and then eventually, once it affects the mental, it affects the physical. Mm-hmm. So now we're disabled for real.
And that happened to me for a little while. So I truly believe in that word. I remember the situation. I remember me being afraid for a little while. I was afraid to drive for a second. So it's real.
Well, and this is one of the things that I want us to understand. So when you got into that severe accident, and again, crazy enough, I can relate to that story. I've been in a similar. So after those experiences, when you're driving a car, and you're driving down the interstate, for example, and you're thinking about the severity of the accident that you just had where you flipped over or ran into a pole, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Now you have to take a breath.
Yes.
You really have to just grip the wheel, breathe for a second, and release the wheel. I don't mean take your hands off now. Let's not be careless.
They say, Jesus, take the wheel.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, just take a breath for a moment, man, because we got to slow down. Because at the end of the day, if we don't slow down, next thing we know, we're going to sped up life and it's too late.
Right. I was also reading, they say, it makes sense, though. Elderly people are the least afraid of death. It was like, it's either one, because, they don't have the fear of missing out on anything. People have that, I've died before I had a chance to live or whatever.
And you want to know the craziest thing?
What?
The elderly are typically the most suicidal.
Well, probably because they're alone at that time. A lot of people forget about the elderly. Yeah. And the other point they made was, look, I forgot what the point was now. You threw me off on a little tangent right quick. Okay. Oh, because they've seen so much death. They've seen a lot of their family leave. They saw a lot of people leave. So, now they're prepared for it. They're ready for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy to me, man, because when I think about, life could be so fleeting. It could be gone in a split second. You're in your car, you're at your home, a stray bullet could take you out, and you're not even in the community where that should even happen.
It could be something crazy. I know someone, you might go on a trip and what do you call it? The carbon monoxide can poison and kill you.
Right.
It's a lot of things, bro. But let's get down to the gist of it. Get down to death to try to help people, as we usually do. We're always trying to help and heal, and people get a better understanding of an idea to really give them a little bit of comfort or whatever. Death. What is it we can say? Let's get down in it.
Well, I'm going to take the number 5, for example. If you ever look up numerology, the number 5 represents wisdom and death.
Okay.
The conundrum there is through death, we understand life.
Okay.
In essence, you value it. Mm-hmm. If you never seen death, then you don't know how to appreciate the fact that you have time here.
Okay.
So that's one of my favorite numbers, and that's one of my favorite aspect of wisdom.
Okay.
Because that's where we have to go to. Now, when I think about death, I think about this particular aspect. If I could be dead in this moment and not wake up tomorrow, when I do wake up tomorrow, I need to be appreciative of the fact that I have breath and I got an opportunity.
Right, right.
See, that's the positive from this negative idea that we can no longer exist.
Why do we still let things bother us on the day-to-day, though? They're so small compared to everything else. Like, it could be something that upsets you, something small to make you mad. It could be simple as you sitting in traffic and you're mad because it's backed up. And all that stuff is trivial compared to the short amount of time you have left here. And people can really they blow that out of proportion, and we really feel, energetically, we start vibrating really low.
Well, because typically what happens is people live in a compressed state. In other words, they're going to suppress all their emotions. The majority of the time, they'll let little snippets of emotion be expressed. Okay. Again, that's that vulnerability that you're talking about at that particular
There's that
moment.
word again, man.
Right.
When we get down to it, though, like if we realize, and a lot of people don't realize that, we're all energy. The body is just, like I said, that's your temple, but you're the spirit that dwells inside. So really, like I say, you live eternally, because when that body gone, that spirit still exists. And I don't think a lot of people grasp that. Like, we read the Bible, we hear all these type of things, but do we really believe in that stuff? Or it's just something nice to believe in, to, believe about a nice afterlife. You believe about heaven. But when you get down to that part, it's like you just get afraid and you just kind of block that out. Because we really listen to that, everything's going to be okay. You're good. You live the right life. You help people. You live with love and you lead with love. Everything's going to be okay.
I do have to say this, though. And one of the biggest struggles that, you and I brought up nihilism not that long ago.
Okay.
The belief in nothing. If you actually don't have any type of real conviction about life, and when I'm talking about life, it's the appreciation of.
Okay.
When you don't have that, you will fade, dissipate.
Okay. When I think about death myself, and I'm just gonna be honest. Me myself, I'm talking about not having fear and all that, but I definitely have fear of it. I have fear of it, and to the point that I'm gonna let you guys in my life a little bit. I have people that died that were very close to me. Like close to me, that was hand in hand with me every day. I'm gonna speak one about my cousin in 2009. She committed suicide. And that, that hit me to the core, to the point where I don't think I've really accepted that she gone. I have periods where I'd be like, dang, she really not here. I mourn a little bit. She'll visit me in a dream or whatever. But it's like I put this wall up and close it down when it comes to death and the pain that's associated with it. I have another cousin. He was 27. He died of cancer. And that was like our baby cousin of the group. He's my first cousin, my father's sister child. Same thing with him. It's just like a block out, because I feel like, I don't know, that'll shatter me. I don't really know how to process that. So
at the
I just
end
keep
of the day,
moving.
When you say that, is like you do not want to bask or feel that emotion, right?
Yeah, that's mainly it. Because
right.
I feel like I break down because, I feel that to the core. It's like an emptiness that you always feel, and I don't want to allow myself to feel.
I don't want to do this, but I want to graduate us real fast.
Okay.
At the end of the day, if we allowed that type of emotion to like really truly hit us, you think we'd want to not be here?
You think we don't want to not be here? Maybe. I don't know. It depends on the person. I'm not going to say that, because I think I still want to be here to, keep their name alive, to keep speaking about them. When I speak about love, I always have to bring my cousin up. I'm going to bring her name up. We called her Drea. Her name was Adria Butler. And she was the happiest, most energetic thing. I've never seen a period when she was just, she always thought about others. She put others first before herself, and maybe that was the downfall. She didn't take care of herself or what she got going on. She had so much darkness.
We have to be careful. There's a avatar type concept that exists in this world at the present. I love when we make some type of progression. They say stuff like, they're vampires. Mm-hmm. They drain your energy. Mm-hmm. So we do have to be careful, because when we're too loving, too nurturing, too giving, right. Somebody will drain us to death.
It can happen, man. It was just life. Just got the best of her. And when, you know what? After I read that thing after I watched the video about when they said about death was so freeing, then almost like suicide came in my head. I'm like, is that what those people are searching for? Because they got so much pain. And when they do that, even though they say it's the only sin, they can't be forgiven, is that what they're going for, that freedom. Because the way that woman described it, it's like, I mean, I'm not finna take myself out. For everybody's listening.
And neither would we want anybody to do that.
Going to take myself, I'm not. But I was just, I like to think and break things down. I'm like, that's the feeling they're searching for? I mean, they want anything other than what they feel, because the way that they describe that freedom in their mind, yeah.
Yeah. Right. At that particular moment, they think, you know what, if I don't exist, I have no pain, I have no suffering, right? So we have to be careful, because that type of unfear, the lack of fear, in the sense of what death is resonated with or connected with, we can mistake ourselves and end it all.
I think the biggest thing is
there's a healthy fear that we should have of death, but there's a non-fear we should have of death. The
problem with that comes, I think, is you kind of playing God. God has this plan of when, stuff you're supposed to fulfill, he has your purpose or whatever, and you just taking that out. I was like, nah, now. So I think that's the biggest issue right there. I mean, you had other things going on. He had, like you say, he had a bigger picture for you, and you chose to, I'm gonna say cop out, but you chose to take that moment to take your life into your own hands and outside of God. So maybe that's why they say, number one, they say it's the only thing that can be forgiven, because you can't ask for forgiveness, because if you can ask for forgiveness, he forgives anything.
Right. Okay. And so, I got to jump in. Jeremiah 10:23 is one of my favorite biblical passages. In that particular scripture, it talks about the fact that he directs your steps and guides you. Mm-hmm. When you make the decision to end that, or we make decisions for people to end that, whether I kill you, homicide, or suicide, either way, what we're doing is interrupting God's direction.
But then on the flip side, I also could look at it like, if God knows the plan, they say God knows everything going to happen. Did he know that was going to happen? Did he know his child was going to give up and do that? I mean, if he know all, he'd be all, what do you think of that?
Oh, simply put, he'll give the strength when necessary. However, he does not interfere.
That's the free will that he gives.
Yeah, that's the free will. But he puts his spirit out there, and one of our responsibilities and the thing that we lack in is accountability, right? Okay. So we don't understand our accountability. So when I look at that, I go, man, I need to align myself with his spirit every single day, right? Right. Now, me personally, I'm not afraid of death because I believe in a high power. Okay. I believe in it so much that I think it guides me every day. That's why Jeremiah 10:23 is one of my favorite scriptures, because it gets me past death just the same. Okay. If he's directing me every day, nobody can actually do me any harm. Mm-hmm. I got a shell around me every day, and if somebody wants to break it, they got to deal with something greater than me.
I believe in that wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly, man. I was talking to this lady the other day. I don't know, random people gravitate towards me. Some reason we end up talking about God. I don't know, that's my favorite subject. Most people know that about me. I'm very spiritual. But we end up talking about God, and we end up talking about the crazy part, death. So death. We're talking about
that
death.
That baffles me.
Yeah, you got to hear this one out, though. I think I shared this with you before, but I'm going to share it with you on the mic, and let's see where we go with it. I was telling her, I was like, you believe in God, right? And she's like, yeah, correct. I was like, so when it comes to death, like people have these horrible deaths. They getting gunned down. They feeling all this pain. Somebody kidnapped them. Somebody does this thing to kids. I was like, you think God know about this stuff, or you think every step of the way God gives us signs? Like maybe he told you don't go to work today, and you would have avoided that accident, but you went against it and you went anyway. Or he told you, hey, don't hang out with this person today because they have this going on and you don't know. I'm like, I think maybe he probably spilled the clues to us, but you really have to tap into that part to hear him in all aspects.
Slow down and pay attention.
Right, just slow down and pay attention. So I would ask her that. I say, what do you really think? And she brought up death is inevitable, but I really think that. I mean, I feel like that he gives me clues and I happen to see him. I feel like there was a lot of other times where I could not be here right now.
Well, nomads look for signs. The people that have no home, like Jesus didn't have a home. Right. Nowhere to lay your head. They look for clues and signs. Okay. Because ideally, the universe, the energy that's bigger than you, God divine, it guides and navigates. It creates an influence in this world. You have to tap in, is what they say. Okay. So when we address the idea of being afraid to die, you're afraid that you can no longer live. Mm-hmm. But if you believe in the infinite, exactly. If you believe in something that's greater than you, that always casts or has a spirit, then you shall exist always.
Yeah, that keeps me going, the thought of that. But at the same time, my mind is on constantly. God has bigger plans for me. So maybe that's God putting it in my head that I'm not done with you. You're protected, because I always say I'm protected. You know, you still have more to go. You still have more things to do. Because other than that, man, I don't know. I'd probably be going crazy around here. But it's just like it's a sense of knowing that I know it's a bigger plan for me.
So I gotta ask you, how long you think you're gonna live then?
I guess until he tell me it's time to die.
Yeah,
but it's not over yet, man. It's like I know
not even close.
It's not close. And I can just say that with confidence. I don't know why. I can say that with confidence.
Well, you're breathing, aren't you?
Right. I had one incident. I don't know. I'm off on a tangent. Sorry, but I was driving on the road, Bluetooth, talking to my sister. Anybody who knows my sister, she can vouch for this. And she called me lucky. She said I'm the luckiest person ever. So I'm talking to her on the interstate. I'm in a little Honda Accord, the old baby boy Honda Accord. It's a little cash car I have. So I'm driving on the interstate. I'm talking to her on Bluetooth. An 18-wheeler come over. And just about to knock me off the road. So I veer over, and I'm shaking up and everything. And only thing that he hit was the side mirror, because I hit the wheel just in time. Side mirror, and only thing I had to do was pop it back in place. Like, nothing wrong. But that could have been crucial and could have been lethal.
Well, one of the things I think about when I think about you is I think you're a free spirit. So I think your intuition is pretty good.
Oh, yeah. That's the one that keeps me safe.
That's a derivative of being connected to God. And if you believe in such a high power in that type of capacity, what ends up happening is death doesn't affect you the same. Okay. First of all, you don't think your time is near unless he decides. And if he decides, then you're good.
Does belief have a play in that?
A belief in death?
Belief in I'm not about to die. I believe when I tell you I feel like God's telling me I still have more to do, I believe that wholeheartedly. It's like not a doubt. Like I really live in this world like I'm good.
Absolutely. Oh, only because I've had too many near-death experiences.
You're like a cat with 9 lives.
And I'm touching it. So that's what's actually that's what's actually crazy to me, is because I had so many experiences with it. Whether it's, the car wrecks or, somebody shooting at you or whatever the case may be. And when you look at those type of scenarios, you go to yourself, well, man, you know what? I better connect to him a little bit more.
Right.
And a lot of people are scared of that because they only think of it in one aspect. They only think of it in the religious community.
Right.
And that's the part that kind of bothers my spirit just a hair, but I don't want to get caught up in those hairs. Spirituality is the most important thing.
Right.
Be connected to God.
I mean, that's the way to go, man.
Divinity is a real thing, and that'll help you with dealing with nihilism or the idea that death is crippling.
Once again, nihilism is the belief in nothing. Man,
Excuse me.
Like I said before, that fear of leaving here without, putting all I have into the world. That's why we're doing this. Number one, it's time to put everything we have into the world. But the idea of leaving here without doing that, but yet if I do leave here, I mean, that's as far as God wanted me to go. I'll touch who he wanted me to touch. I'll help whoever wanted me to help. But I just see it in my head. He gives us visions. The picture's so big and it's so bright, and I can see it so vividly. And it's like I have to keep going until I get there. I can't rest. My soul is restless. And I have this thing I always say, and you guys might have seen me put it on social media before, for those of you who may have been following me for a while. I always say, I imagine dying with untapped knowledge inside of you is like being buried alive. And, I really believe in that. I just want to let it all out. And we appreciate you guys, allowing us to use this platform as a release for that, because that's what this is for me. It's therapy as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, so I want to go back to something that we were talking about as we relate to the idea of death. When you wake up in the morning, you have new breath.
Okay.
That's a morning of opportunity, okay? Mm-hmm. See, nothing has actually happened yet. You just literally woke up. Now we have the opportunity to be able to create something. Okay. Right? Mm-hmm. So when you wake up, start back at this particular idea. Appreciate the fact that you woke up.
And you can start fresh every day. I don't care what you did the day before. It's a brand new day. You don't have to hold on to the past.
Clean slate.
Clean slate, blank slate, man. You really can start off. You can set your mindset. You can decide what you want to be. You can decide to be who you are. And you can just go with that, man. It's like
that's called high vibration.
Yeah, high vibrations, man.
Yeah. I love it because one of the things that we lack in our ideology is that when you wake up in the morning with that fresh start, right? Mm-hmm. Good energy begets good energy.
Yes.
So when you wake up, say, oh, you know what? Here it is. God gave me life.
He did.
I have breath. Mm-hmm. I'm breathing. Right. Let me breathe with another. When you say, let me breathe with another, that's a connection. That's good vibration to good vibration. Mm-hmm. Good energy begets good energy. They call that karma.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I hope he's not in this room right now.
Who?
I'm just feeling inclined. I said my other cousin's name. I feel like his name need to be said too.
Oh.
It's like, hey, the one that died of cancer at 27, Antoine Waddell Baptiste. It just came over me. It's like his name needs to be said too, man. If I say I was gonna keep him alive, I'm keeping him alive right there. Antoine Waddell Baptiste, man. That was my little. I felt that one. At his funeral, I didn't even go look at the casket because I didn't want to remember him how he looked when he died of cancer. I didn't go to what they call it, a wake or whatever. I literally didn't walk up there. I just want to remember my little cousin as he was.
So I'm gonna share something personal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at one time or another, I even personally beckoned or wished for the thing we don't want to wish for. Mm-hmm. And my cousin, who was like a sister to me, is one of the major reasons I was able to make transformation in my life.
Okay.
Helped me appreciate life versus death, even though she still died at 40 years of age.
Yeah, sure.
Extremely. You know, she wasn't in good health. But one of the things she did for me is she was a strong female who showed her weaknesses.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it. Mm-hmm. That's one of our biggest problems is we don't communicate.
Yeah, that's a huge problem, man.
Right.
Amongst most.
And so not knowing, most of our family probably was unaware of the fact that she was going to die.
Mm. You knew?
Always have.
Okay. Well, I guess you do because we always will.
But the interesting thing is, more importantly, what she did for me when I was about 18 years of age. She had a friend of hers that she used to talk to or whatever the case may be. And when that young man passed away and his gang members, friends, whatever you want to call him, set him up and had him murdered.
Okay.
That became significant in my mind.
I bet.
So when it came to her, she helped me to appreciate that even more so when she passed away. Okay. Because what became valuable to me is we didn't value communication. We didn't value true affection. Like, we're not talking about the fact that tomorrow could be gone and we should value today.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever pays attention. We think we have forever. In our mind, we live as if we have forever.
And I miss them both, by the way.
I bet. I can see it in your eyes, man. Like, you can see them right now. Oh, yeah. You cared about her. You want to say her name, too? Let's keep
that's
people alive.
Well, that's Tashane and Angela.
Yeah, let's keep them alive,
Angela Nicole
man.
Riggs. So, you know, that's a special person in my heart because if she wouldn't have said these particular words, I don't think I could have consistently made it this far.
Okay.
I came home one day and I told her I was changing my life. And I can't tell no lie. She said, boy, shut up. You ain't going to do shit.
I'll be.
You're not going to do a thing, right?
Right.
And I was like, nah, man. What? I'm going to show you, Nikki. And so, you know, ever since then, I've been this way. Where I want to reach people, I want to show love, and we got to get past this idea that death is the end of everything. Mm-hmm. If you live your life right, mm-hmm. if you inspire people, touch people, love people, your spirit continues.
It does.
And you will vibe for a little longer than you could even imagine.
I can imagine because people who had those good spirits, you see them still talking about, it's like I still feel them. I don't want to see him. I'm going to keep saying He always laughing at me because I say that. I do not want to see him. I almost want to tell you guys a funny story, what I mean by that. That's how transparent I can be, man.
Please, tell me. I need to know.
I was a kid, so death has always been around me. My grandmother, she used to say she saw spirits. And a lot of people probably know of people like that, but she says, she can see the dead. So, and she say she was born with a veil over her face. I'm gonna say her name too. She's not here anymore. That's my heart. That's my soul right there, man. That's the love in me right there. That Erlene Logan. I call her Elo. That's my grandmother. But she always told us about ghosts, and that's another thing that probably put some fear in me of death. But she always say, "Hey, such and such was here last night, or such and such came by," and she would talk about it as if it was nothing, like someone she saw at the store. So one night, I must have been about 8 years old. She told me about what happened that night. She was like, Luberta, which is her mother. We called her Mama. It was my great grandmother. She was like, Luberta was here last night. She came in your room and she kissed you on the forehead. And I say, you need to tell her don't come here no more.
No more.
I said, don't tell her don't come here no more. So as a kid, I even went as far as to get a pen and paper, and I wrote Mo a letter and told her, hey, I love you. I miss you, but I don't want to see you. So there's no need to come back here again. I was like, I see you when I get there. I see you when I see you. And I left a note at the head of my bed to let them know.
See,
do not come back.
I don't know how far we want to go with this conversation.
I mean, this is like we say, we transparent. Whatever happens, happens. But whatever comes out, comes out.
I'm thinking we're going to have to come back because we'll create a beeline for this one.
All right.
I'm going to bring us back on page for this particular point.
Okay.
Success is our ability to believe.
Okay.
Then we can create. The reason I say that is if you don't believe in something past a moment, you cannot achieve nothing.
Okay.
The very moment we put a wall up, like for example, the fear of death.
Okay.
The very moment we put that wall up, we only stay in a negative state.
And it limits us, I can imagine. You know,
Negative,
if everybody lived every day without fearing death, let's erase the word death for a minute, okay? You just are. You just living this life, you exist in your being, and you have no fear of death, no fears at all. What do you think we would be? How far do you think we would go?
There is no limitation at that particular moment. I mean, when you erase all boundaries, all limitations, fear of death, you start thinking you're infinite. So you start thinking galactical. So therefore, your mind just keeps going.
Right.
So you can achieve anything. You could be anything.
Okay.
So when you think about something like you and I's connection, let's make it more personable.
Okay.
Friendships like this don't exist.
Yeah, man. Y'all have no idea how beautiful this is. I mean, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah, but we ain't got to get all of that.
Oh, I'm not getting all of that. I just have to make a note.
Who's Juliet? So,
here we go.
No, all right. So back on page.
Tangents, man. Go ahead.
When you allow those type of scenarios to truly exist, you glow, right? People see your aura, they feel it, your vibe. You also start looking like angels to people. People will say something so crazy as, I think you're God's angel on earth.
Okay, what's wrong with that? I believe that.
Wholeheartedly. So, I mean, I've heard it before. So,
right.
I believe that.
Right.
My point in that is, those moments, death is not even a thought. Death is not even a feeling.
Right.
You think you are infinite at that moment.
I just want to find peace in death. I want to find calmness in it where I can achieve at the highest level. And I'm working on getting there. Where I'm, understanding it a little more. I know it's coming. It's inevitable. And I'm getting to that point where I'm just living, man. Living in the present moment right now, because the past not going to help me when it comes to death. Even thinking about the future is not going to help me when it comes to death. So all we have is right now, and we have to learn to live and exist in that. So what you got going on over there, man? I see you off into something else.
Who, me?
Yeah, I know you. You got something brewing over there.
Me, I'm about living.
You living in the moment?
I got to always be present because death is right around the corner.
Oh, man, you better say it again.
Death, Tupac, right around the corner.
All right, man.
No, but I mean, seriously, though, you got to understand that in order to truly appreciate life, you have to understand that you're not living long in the physical sense.
Gotcha.
So when we're in the physical, enjoy the moment. There is pleasure in that. You don't have to also be too physical either. Okay. In other words, don't think about simply the pleasure of the flesh. Your spirit is right intertwined with that same body.
Got you. Remember those 30, 40 summers? 30, 40 summers is what we had left. Go ahead.
So when we allow ourselves to vibrate like that, that sensation is greater than any pleasure in the physical sense.
Man, I believe that. Man.
And that'll transcend the idea of death.
I think another thing most people, when it comes to fear of death and lack of control, I think is seeing the evil in this world and seeing how some people die by the hands of another. We want to be in control of how we die. If we knew that we were going to die and it was just going to be like a peaceful sleep and we're just going to drift off and we're old and all that, I think we'll be a little more comfortable with it. But knowing at any moment you got people walking the face of this earth who don't have the best intentions, they got this darkness deep inside of them that you just never know.
You know, I think of Epicureanism, I think is the word. That's what comes to mind when I think of people that only think of the pleasure part before they die. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, I'm going to die tomorrow. I got to satisfy myself.
Right.
That's not the idea. Value, be present.
Okay.
You know, there's an appreciation. There's a higher vibration that we should have with one another through the idea that tomorrow is not promised.
Right. A little more love, Sean.
I mean,
a lot more love. Getting over things easy. You know, when my cousin, when I spoke about when she passed, me and her wasn't talking. And I think about that moment every day. That's why I try not to have a lot of strife with people and I try to move on from it. I'm still stubborn. I still have my moments, but we hadn't talked for like 6 or 7 months. And, you know, over something stupid, both being bullheaded, don't want to be the first one to speak. Pride, there's that word again. It gets in the way.
Before
and none of that stuff matters, man. When you say pride before a crash, none of that matters, man, when it comes to how short life is. If you having people in your life, you have that going on with right now, man, reach out to them. It's so simple. Reach out to them because you know if you really truly love them, you get that one phone call that say they're not here no more. The first thing you're gonna do is talk about the woulda, shoulda, couldas.
Right.
When you can make that happen right now.
We don't need to have that. I mean, let's live in the present, man. Let's be aware of each other
right now.
You know, because tomorrow is not promised. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that I learned about working at a job is that I would walk around sometimes and I'd see people, and I don't know how not to look at a person. Mm-hmm. So when I see a dispirited person, you know, like they feel like they ghosted, they feel like they're alone. Mm-hmm. Immediately, you know, my hello was a little different.
Right. It's a little more energy. You lending a little more of your energy to them.
Oh, man, I got to because I don't want them to die.
Mm-hmm. I got you with that, dude. But do you think that depletes you? Do you think that's your job
to
play that role? But you're willing to sacrifice yourself for that, for another person.
Well, I also believe I can carry the burden.
Oh, yeah.
However,
I feel that. Yeah.
But, you know, obviously we got to be cautious and not allow ourselves to be exasperated.
Be there and support people, you know, while they find themselves and go along their own journey. You don't have to be engulfed with it.
Right. So, you know, healers at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah, I'm that, so I understand, buddy. We said we're not going to... Go ahead. I was just about to say, we said we wasn't going to keep you long tonight as usual. We're trying to keep it a little shorter. You know, y'all attention span a little shorter these days. But
ADHD.
We're not going to leave here without this man sharing whatever he had brewing over here. I told y'all he had something brewing. I felt it. I see it. I see him into something. So, you know.
Well, this one hits a little hard for me personally, okay?
Okay.
So, here you go. Most are afraid of it. And I feel like I've been searching for it.
Okay.
To be asleep and free from the pain. To be sane and not troubled by one's thoughts. To not have your own mind condemning you. So many see a life lost. But through my eyes, I see a life free. A lifelong battle with you. And I'm wondering if you could finally win. I just can't recall a time that you weren't there trying to bury me. Trying to pin me in. So young when we first met, and you still haven't abandoned me. Many have left, but not you. I can't believe how so many fear you when I've grown accustomed to you. The older I get, the closer we become. So close that in you, I can even see the wisdom. What's crazy to me is how close we are and no one knows. All these years, you're more my friend than my foe. You know we shouldn't be this close. You shouldn't be here, and we cannot be this close. You should be a fear, and not my antidote. Most will never understand our relationship, sadly, because there's the simple principle. Most people think they already know shit.
Wow. Yeah, that was a deep one, man. That was powerful.
That's death.
That's wow.
That's the acquaintance.
Oh man. And how long back did you come? You just came up with that, or you been?
I know that was 2016.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Man, so look at that. You wrote that, and that was already foreshadowing. It's gonna be used at this moment. The world's listening to your work now. You worked out at that moment, but the way you broke that down, man, the words that you use, you're truly gifted.
Well, I have to tell you, man, life is extremely valuable, and we shouldn't miss it.
Right.
You know, again, when it comes to conditioned thoughts, the thing that bothers me is we're afraid of death for the wrong reasons.
You should be more afraid of the stuff that's going on here on this earth than you are of death. I'm starting to see that.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the extreme reason why being supportive, being affectionate, being loving, being nurturing, being a protector, you know, when you have characteristics of that sort, that makes you invaluable. And we should be that for each other.
Yes, sir.
And maybe we shouldn't, you know, be afraid of death so much, because at that moment we feel in heaven every single day.
Right.
So by the time we did decease and fall away, we'd still feel like we were in heaven before we passed away.
Look at that. That sounds poetic as well. When you wrote that one.
That was just now.
I bet. So basically, man, we just need to maximize the time that we have here in this physical body, because you shall live forever in the spirit. So let's just make the best of it. May live, love, laugh, pick up that baby, hug your friend, make up with that person like it's not that serious, man. Let's just do the best we can to help another, to be, you know, that person for another, man. Let's uplift each other and just do what we put here to do.
Love life.
Love life. Live love. That's another point.
Oh, man. We'll get back to that, huh?
Yeah, you already know, man. But once again, you guys know what just happened.
Stroked up.
You just been stroked. As usual.
Get
Good
your
night.
mind right.
Oh, but before I go, let me say this. I always have to say this. Make sure you like, you share, you follow. We appreciate the support that we've been getting for everyone, man. We really do. So something as simple as a like or share, that'll be great. If you're looking for us on social media, at Stroked, STROK'D _ the podcast. Once again, at Stroked, STROK'D _ the podcast.
Much love.
All right. Bye.
Good night.